Sri Ramanuja, Myth and Reality, a critical study of Ramanuja's life and works. Chapter 1, Ramanuja Puranam. In his work Vedanta according to Shankara and Ramanuja, George Allen and Unwin Limited, London, 1928, the great Indian philosopher Dr. S. Radhakrishna wrote as below. Both Shankara and Ramanuja were the great exponents of the Vedanta. Their minds were driven to the same problems. Their texts were practically the same. Their methods were based on the same assumptions, and yet their results show striking differences. Their conclusions reveal their visions, their respective apprehensions of the truth. Ramanuja trusts firmly to the religious instinct and sets forth a deeply religious view which reveals God to man through creation, through theophanies, through the prophets, through the incarnations. His study of Arvars and the training by the Acharyas remained latent in the Upanishads and the Brahma Sutras. He did not for a moment feel that he was propounding a system of his own. He was but expounding the wisdom of wise of all times. Any study of the life and work of a great man should necessarily take into account the milieu in which he lived and worked. The great thinker is the spokesman of his age and relives in his own experiences the ancient wisdom transmitted to him. The saints and teachers in whose company Ramanuja spent the days moved in the region of religious life and piety. It affords a better understanding of the personality of the thinker. Many of Pauranikas and writers have projected his life from their angles, and at a time when both myths and miracles fascinated the popular mind, they have provided appreciative accounts of his life. We salute all those men who were propelled by their faith and conviction. They also had the freedom to emphasize the points they liked, and so they would not fail to appreciate that which provides fresh angle to the same life, even if it is totally different and opposed to their own. This study is undertaken in right earnest to know whether what has been said all these days about Ramanuja are supported by new evidence that has come out about in the recent past. The Dharma Shastras decree that foremost importance must be given to Lekya Paramana, written factual document in preference to other forms of evidence like oral or mythical evidence. Sri Ramanuja's life is intimately connected with the Sri Rangam temple, a vast body of inscriptions found in the temple and spread over several centuries, which were not available all these years and which have been published in full form, provide us with such factual evidence, making it now necessary to evaluate the life of Ramanuja afresh. This new material needs to be compared with what has been so far available as legends and myths. Eminent scholars like Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, S. N. Das Gupta were not aware of this material and went only by the then available legends. Their studies, however, were based on the original writings of Ramanuja in his Sri Bhashya, Bhagavad Gita Bhashya, and Vedartha Sangraha, and deal mainly with his contribution to philosophy. So, this study is not exploring such works of Ramanuja. Here, the study is confined to Ramanuja's life based on new material. This study may challenge the existing views and may reject those that are not supported by evidence. Such results are inevitable in such inquiries. Life of Ramanuja. Ramanuja was born in Sri Perumpudur in the year 1017 CE. He seems to have lost his father quite young. After receiving the general education given to boys of his class, he had a course in the Vedanta under Yadava Prakasha at Kanchipuram, but he could not support Yadava Prakasha on all points. Alavandar, the famous head of the mutt at Srirangam, was impressed by Ramanuja's learning and thought of offering apostolic seat at Srirangam. When Alavandar drew near his end, disciples sent Periyanambi to bring him Ramanuja. By the time he arrived, the master was no more, and the tradition relates that when Ramanuja approached the body, he saw 3 out of the 5 fingers of the right hand folded. His disciples explained that he had 3 unfulfilled desires, the chief of which was writing an easy commentary on the Brahma Sutra. Ramanuja returned to Kanchipuram and continued with his pious duties. One day, in great distress, he asked the priest of the temple to ascertain the divine will regarding his own future. The will of God was expressed in a verse to the effect, I am the supreme reality. My view is distinction. Self surrender is the unfailing cause of salvation. Individual effort not being essential, release will come at the end. Periyanambi is the best of the teachers. Shriman Param Tattvam Aham Madam Me Bedaha Prapatit Nirapaya Hetuhu Navasya Kicha Smriti Antya Kale Moksho Mahapurno Iharya Varyaha. God thus spoke, or Ramanuja heard the voice and set his heart to obey. He met Periyanambi at Madurantakam and got initiated by him into the mysteries of Vedanta. Great men are often unable to find a woman suitable for themselves, and Ramanuja too was not blessed with a wife who would strive to uphold his ideals and thus increase his powers. Incompatibility is difficult to conceal, and Ramanuja soon felt like Buddha and Shankara and Plato and Paul did, that renunciation is a necessary condition for attaining the highest summit of human perfection or drawing near God. When he became a sannyasin, he grew very popular and the admiring world called him Prince of Ascetics, Yati Raja. Ramanuja settled down at Srirangam and acquired full knowledge of the Tiruvaimuri with the help of his disciple Kuratarwar, who knew by heart that the Bodhayannavriti. Ramanuja wrote his Vedartha Sara and Vedartha Samgraha, Vedanta Deepa, and wrote his great commentary on the Brahma Sutra and the Gita Bhashya. The learned among the Vaishnavas gave their approval to Ramanuja's exposition, and it became the commentary, Sri Bhashya, for the Vaishnavas. Ramanuja toured around South India, restored many Vaishnava temples, and converted large numbers to Vaishnavism. It is evident from this account of the life of Ramanuja that Radhakrishnan has gone by the legends then prevailing. He has taken the date of birth of Ramanuja as 1017. Ramanuja was not originally interested in becoming a sannyasin, as he returned to Kanchipuram immediately after attending the burial of Alavandar, where he stayed for some time, and assumed sannyasa only as a result of his incompatibility with his wife. He heard God speaking through the priest. He wanted that his followers should be blind followers and were assured of moksha at the time of death. All these, no doubt, fall in the narrative region of myths. It is proposed here to study events one by one in the life of Ramanuja and evaluate. In this process, there may be some inevitable repetition which are retained to stick to the context.